attempt to manage stimulation and processes that affects learning and self-management. That's what I define ADHD as. It is the failed attempt to manage stimulation and to manage your thought process, and these two things affect learning outcomes. That's what I consider ADHD to be. Another diagnosis that is very similar to ADHD is oppositional defiant disorder. When you have one, you usually have the other one. They're like salt and pepper. Oppositional defiance is that stubbornness and anger and rage and blaming and taking no responsibility for actions. It is filled with denial, refusal to work with the program. There's a general disregard and hatred towards authority figures. And I'm talking about 6-year-olds and 9-year-olds. Another diagnosis that is very similar and related to ADHD is depression. Depression, that is the presence of fatigue, low self-worth, worry, a sense of dread, being stressed and overwhelmed. And lastly would be bipolar, which is the presence of two polarizations. Being happy is a polarization. Being depressed is a polarization. Having ADHD is a polarization. Being oppositional is a polarization. So what happens is a bipolar person, within a matter of minutes or hours, can have both polarizations working. So in 1 minute, you're the most wonderful, respectful, God sent you into my life, social worker, and 10 minutes later, I hate you, you dumb, you stupid, I'm going to kill you. That's how bipolars flip the script on you from time to time. And I'm sharing these 4 diagnoses because they overlap. In fact, the research will tell us that 60% of children who are diagnosed with ADHD go on to develop bipolar later in life. It's almost like ADHD is one of those cornerstone diagnoses that is ingrained and is part of a whole bunch of other diagnoses that would come, especially as it relates to children. Many adults who are bipolar and who are on medication, when they were younger, they were ADHD. They still are ADHD, but they have landed in a profession or a job where they don't get as distracted as they used to. They're into sales, and actually being ADHD helps them be more energetic and productive. So they never really outgrew it. It's just that they have learned to manage and cope with it. But now they're struggling with the depression piece of their bipolar as opposed to the ADHD that is still there lying dormant. Do we have any questions so far? No questions. All right. So those are the definitions of the diagnosis. Let's go to the symptoms of ADHD and bipolar, because those are the two we want to focus on today. ADHD and bipolar. It was estimated that 9% of the children in America have been diagnosed with ADHD. 9% of the children in America have been diagnosed with ADHD. I estimate that there are probably 90 million children in America. So if you're talking about 10% or 9% of that, you're talking about 10 million children. And you figure there are 10,000 communities, it's a lot of kids that are affected with this. The symptoms for ADHD, children have very sloppy handwriting. They have very poor listening skills. They are impatient, impulsive, loud. They tend to talk real fast. They have poor self-management. They act as if they're on the go, that they can't stop. They run and play in inappropriate places like church or in the mall. They have a difficult time managing their anger. They enter into stubbornness and acts of rage and resistance on the flip of a dime. These individuals also have an inability to organize. ADHD children, bipolar children, have a difficult time organizing their life, organizing their bedroom, organizing their homework assignments, organizing their literature paper. Those abilities seem to escape them, and we'll talk about the reason why in just a moment. Some of the other symptoms associated with ADHD and also with bipolar is limited concentration, lying and deceit, poor processing, self-defeating behaviors, poor judgment, indifference, defiance, developmental delays. I would get there to venture of the 300 ADHD kids that I service a month, 250 of them are in special education. Because associated with ADHD and the whole learning process are developmental delays, cognitive delays, emotional delays, and those delays affect their ability to